Morning, Jerry. How are you?
Hi, good, thanks. How are you, Jim?
Good. Well, hey, I just really, first of all, want to say thank you for agreeing to do this. I can only imagine what your schedule is like maintaining all the real estate assets for American Express. And I know we wanted to have you at the conference, and we had originally planned to have you there, but an emergency meeting came up, and we know how real life works. And when they tell you need to be there, you need to be there. Being the innovative or innovation promoters that we are, we said, okay, no problem. We'll bring you in via video conferencing live, and then we determined that the session was at the exact same time that your meeting was starting. So we said, okay, should we give up or let's try one more thing? So we said, very least, we're going to bring you in via pre-recorded video, and I just felt it was so important that the audience hear your perspective that no matter how we did it, I wanted to get your face at the conference. So I really thank you for taking the time to do this. And we're recording this on Friday afternoon in preparation for our session next week. So all good.
My pleasure.
So what we want to do is just to set some context for the audience, and that obviously big company, big real estate portfolio, lots going on. You're involved in the technology side. First question I just want to ask you is do you believe, and does American Express believe, that technology automation and the innovation that results from it, do they play a strategic role in how you're going to manage the corporate real estate assets of the company?
Yeah, they absolutely do. And as the world moves more into the digital age, that's the way it has been, and it's just continuing on that journey, it really changes the way that we both engage with our customers at American Express, and likewise how we get work done at American Express. So thinking of how we interact with the online community and how our employees think about mobility to get their work done today. So the next generation coming up is so accustomed to using and thinking about mobility and the digital age, and that when we look to attract and retain the workforce, we think about how we can use technology in order to ensure that they're productive both in the office, when they're traveling, and when they're working, whether it be at home during the workday, or even dealing with the global workforce and having to engage them after business hours. So I think it's embedded in everybody's mind, part of their DNA today, that technology is something that will enable greater productivity from the workforce. The challenges always are, how do you make those key investments and how do you deploy that so that the employee experience is one that bonds with them.
Right. Now, from our perspective and analysis, we found that technology really, when you apply it to a corporate real estate environment, has three main buckets. The first one is using the technology to create or use information management systems or process automation systems, getting the tasks of managing the leases or how you maintain the assets. The second is the new global or mobile workforce and the new workplace that they require, which could be a coffee shop or their third bedroom. And then the third is the intelligent infrastructure, connecting the facilities to the network and managing them with extreme precision. Do you agree that those, for at least the starting dialogue, are three good buckets to look at technology as it relates to corporate real estate?
I think so. Considering the sort of the impact on the balance sheet as well as the income statement that real estate has, it's sort of incumbent upon us to have data that is has high integrity, that we can query that data, translate that data into what that means for the business going forward. And that does mean that we have to get off, sort of the spreadsheets and other forms of disparate systems that we use today. That, granted, does produce data, but the question is, does it produce the data that the business needs in order to make decisions? So I would definitely support the notion of a robust tool set that supports that. And from a mobility standpoint, I totally agree. And most companies that I've interacted with are either contemplating, in the process of deploying, or have already deployed some form of alternative workplace strategy that does connect technology with the culture of the company along with the workplace in order to support that mobile workforce. And I think the last piece you mentioned, which is more the smart building technology, is I think everybody's watching and waiting for how that's going to evolve, because I think it is somewhat in its young stage of development, and I think it has a great way to go, whether it's building information management systems or other forms of even nanotechnology that will allow us to take the information of the environments that we're in and quickly make decisions about how best to manage them.
Right. So I think we're in agreement that corporate real estate assets are a big part of corporation, big part of the balance sheet, and technology can have an impact. What do you see as the number one barrier to entry? Why more corporate real estate executives aren't aggressively adopting automation and innovation and technology in their practice? What's the one major barrier to entry?
That's a good question. I think there's several, but if I were to think today what that one may be, would probably be cost. So, like any large enterprise, we're competing for scarce capital within our companies, and a lot of us are dealing with having to deliver quarterly results, if not annual results. And so the investments that it takes today in order to deploy for a large enterprise an integrated workplace management system, for example, it's usually a multi-year deployment. And we're talking about millions of dollars in both, whether it be licensing fees or maintenance and consulting fees, is that the enterprise may not be as patient to receive the returns on those investments as other types of investments they could make that could have maybe a much shorter gestation period for the ROIs. So I would say in today's environment, tough economic climate, that's probably one of the number one barriers.
So if we could show solutions or ideas or technologies that have legitimate, robust, very short or shorter ROIs, then that we should be able to get past that obstacle.
I would say that would bring a compelling argument to the financial community within the companies to show what the tangible benefits are, both short-term and long-term. And some of them are hard benefits and some of them are soft benefits. Right. But I think as most of us are financially constrained today, that the hard benefits in the shortest term possible is going to be the difference between the approval and the come to me later. Right.
All right, one final question for you. If you could leave the audience, corporate real estate executives here at Cornet, with one suggestion, thought, idea, as it relates to technology, as an asset in helping them manage their portfolio or manage the real estate assets better, what would be the number one thing you'd want them to remember from our conversation?
I would say that the best thing that a corporate real estate executive could do to prepare themselves to be successful in this arena would be to bond with both their technology, their financial, CFO, or whomever within an organization, as well as our human resources organization, because this both has a cultural, technological, and a financial component to it, and to start to have those conversations to understand how are you going to unleash this lock that you have today going forward, because it really is a combined effort. It's not just about real estate and money. It's combined the environment you're going to work in, for the technology rules and regulations within your company, and how you're going to get a mind shift change in your organization to understand the value of this information and what it brings in terms of creating value in the company, not just creating value within a real estate organization.
We're hearing that everywhere we go. We've been believing it and saying it for a number of years, but we are now hearing other people saying that real estate has to have a new best friend, or at least one new best friend, and that's the IT group, because it's complex. The technology, if you haven't studied it your whole career, it's sometimes a little bit overwhelming. And that if those two organizations partner, and then you add facilities and sustainability and HR to the team, you can really change the way we look at corporate real estate portfolios. So,
absolutely, right. I totally agree with you, Jim.
All right. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. Hopefully it wasn't an inconvenience, but we've now allowed you to be immortal and be in two places at one time. And I'll give you a call next week and let you know how the session went, but I really do appreciate you taking this time.
Sounds great. Enjoy the conference.
Thank you.